Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel, or if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and hitting the bell below. But yeah, this is my Honda Civic VTI, or Civic Si as it's known in the States. Now, I bought this car with a view to modifying it, upgrading it, but on a budget. I've done the reveal video previously, you've probably already seen that. I've also done a valeting video. Obviously I did the valeting video before the reveal video because I wanted a clean car for the reveal, and it would have been counterintuitive to not do it that way. So it's not the cleanest now. It's still alright, it's still looking good. So yeah, I've always wanted one of these particular cars. As I mentioned in the reveal video, it's because I spent the majority of my time on Need for Speed Underground back in the day as a kid, and these were one of the starter cars that you could choose. Naturally I chose it because my old man at the time had an EP3 Civic Type R, so why wouldn't you? That is a pretty good shot, to be fair, that. I love a bit of that. So yeah, I chose this car to do like a budget build on it, but I'm going to do a review. It would only be fair to do a review on it in stock form. It'd be rude not to. But yeah, I'm going to jump into it now. Let's just jump into it. We're going to jump into it. We're jumping in. So you join me in the car, and my first impressions are, this steering wheel is massive. Now, it's literally like driving a bus. So this has to be one of the first things that I end up addressing. It's got to be one of the first things that I address. It's just ridiculous. And this is supposed to be a sports car, and for its time, you know, this was the sports car, one of the most popular cars bought back in the times of, you know, Honda and BMW competing for the compact sports car market back in the day. So for a sports car, you know, VTI Honda Civic or Civic Si over in the States, this is ridiculous. This is not a sports steering wheel, or at least not a sports steering wheel that we expect today by today's standards. The steering wheel feels thin as well. It's not like a big chunky grip steering wheel, and it's massive. I've come out of my EG that had a 320mm Momo tuner steering wheel on there, and this in comparison is just ridiculous. So I did think that steering wheel was a tiny bit too small. Obviously I had no power steering in the Civic EG, but this is just stupid. So that's the first thing that I noticed straight away when I jumped into this car. The second thing, as I'm just slowing down now to some red lights, the second thing that I noticed is how ridiculous these seats are. You sat really tall. I nearly hit my head on the roof every time I sit in these seats. I've adjusted it as low as it'll possibly go. There's plenty of adjustability on these seats. But what concerns me the most is not how low you can adjust them, it's the seating position. I don't feel like I'm sat in the seat, I feel like I'm sat on it, if that makes sense. It's definitely not hugging me, nowhere near as much as the standard EG seats, and definitely not anywhere near as huggable as a sports seat or a bucket seat, something along those lines. So I feel like I'm going to fall out of it every time I go around a corner, and it's horrible for that reason. Now, the engine pulls really strong. You know, it's the B16A, B16A2 in this particular car. tell. That leads me on to another bad thing though. The engine pulls brilliantly, as you'd expect for a 71,000 mile Honda. You know, these engines just seem to go forever, and I've seen some K series engines with 250,000. There's even a guy on Instagram that I follow whose car's coming up to 500,000 miles. He's in the States somewhere, but yeah, so these engines are really strong anyway, and doesn't burn any oil. It's a mint engine. But it does lead me on to the next bad point, which is the torque mounts. Now the torque mounts on this engine, I'm used to the stiff polyurethane ones that are on my H22. These are nowhere near it. I can feel the engine like twist in gear changes, and that's how it's supposed to be. You know, the standard mounts, they're there for comfort, but when you're doing quick gear changes, first into second like I just did then, I had to brake for traffic unfortunately. It's not the best feeling. It doesn't feel as instant and as harsh as you'd want it to be. The Civic EG was really raw in comparison to this, because I'd done everything, I touched everything like that. This car wallows, the aspect ratio of the tyres is a 55 rather than a 50, and the roll bars, the rear roll bar on this I think is a standard one, which is 16mm I believe, might be 19mm on the VTI, but it's really wallowy. The stock springs and shocks are really soft and supple, and it's lovely to drive, but I don't like that. It's a lovely car to drive to and from work, gets me there really comfortably. Yeah, I don't like it. I hate it because of that. When I'm doing quick gear changes, the revs seem to hang at the top end due to the heavy flywheel. I had a Fidanza aluminium flywheel in the H, swapped Civic. The whole thing's just really lethargic. The suspension's really soft and supple. The gear changes hang in the high end. And the car does need a clutch. It does need a timing belt doing, because I can't find any history for a timing belt. It also needs a service, which is why I got this car for so cheap. I could have got a Civic Type R for $2,000 that didn't need all this sort of stuff doing, especially the timing belt obviously is the K is the chain, but I didn't want to. I could have bought this for the 2K that I paid and sold it for a lot more to buy a nice Civic Type R, but I've always wanted this car. It goes back to the reveal video where I was saying, you know, this is a bit of nostalgia for me. This is a bit of what I expected when, well, it's not what I expected, but this is what I wanted when I was a kid, playing Need for Speed and stuff like that, Need for Speed Underground mainly. So I am enjoying it for that. And the engine does pull quite well for such a heavy car. It says spanking the rev limiter earlier. But yeah, I just wish it was a bit more raw. I've got a clutch kit. The clutch kit's probably smashing itself about on the parcel shelf still. I got an absolute bargain clutch kit. I'll tell you more about that when I do the parts list. That's probably going to be the next video, to be honest. I've got so many things in line for this car. I've got a timing belt kit, a clutch kit. I need to get all the service stuff, but obviously that's readily available. Should give it a little. And it is fun, don't get me wrong, it is fun, but it's just really lethargic. And it sounds well because of the rear back box that's been fitted to it. Let me wind this up. Wind this up a bit because I'm on a quick road at the moment. But it does sound well because of the back box that's on it. It's not the best craftsmanship, but it is a straight through silencer, so there's no baffles in it as such, so you get a lot more of the sound that you'd expect from a VTEC engine. The problem again though, another problem, is that it's all at the front. It's all at the back, sorry, there's nothing from the front sound wise, which is poor, to say the least. I want a nice mixture when I'm driving and when I'm, enjoying the sound of a car. I don't like it to all be exhaust. I like it to be a mixture of the engine and the exhaust sort of together. You know, you get like a nice raw sound. I keep saying raw quite a lot in this video, I've noticed. But you get like a raw sound from the engine and induction noise, if I can get my words out. And you get a nice rasp from the exhaust, you know, or angry bees in this case because it's a Civic. But yeah, so it does sound well, and that is the only modification to this car, is the rear silencer, and that was put on by the previous owner that I bought it from, which happens to be my cousin. He fitted that because the rear silencer was just kaput, and he's not a guy to keep stock cars either, to be fair, so he fitted that exhaust, or got it made, should I say, and fit by the guys who own that said exhaust company, which shall not be named because all I've done is talk trash about them. I seem to talk smack about them quite a lot, to be fair, as of late, just because I know a good exhaust when I see one, because I've experienced the Keltec performance experience. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this video, so I'm going to cut it there. I hope you enjoyed me moaning about this car. I've got a lot in the pipeline for it, as I've said before. I do want to go like full hot boy, but I need to be careful not to make it look like a KFC rice box. I want to do so much to it, it's ridiculous. I've got so many ideas of things that I could do to this car, windows not all the way up. And I hope you stick around for it because it is going to be fun. I am enjoying the time with this car. It's definitely a lot more comfortable, but I want to make it a little bit more raw, a little bit quicker as well, and I definitely need to get rid of that, how the car feels when I'm driving. The gear selector's not bad, I might have something in line for that. The steering wheel's fucking horrible, definitely got something in line for that. The seating position is again horrible, so I've got a load of like aesthetic things as well. Quick spoiler alert then, I didn't actually pay £2,000 for this car. I paid $2,200 for this car with some bits. Those bits include a spoiler. Sorry, you know, pun intended. But those bits include a spoiler. So the rear spoiler that I've got for this car that will be going on is the DC2 Integra Type R spoiler. I've always liked the look of Integra Type Rs. The premium of those though is ridiculous. They're ridiculously high. So as you can imagine, I'm not going to be spending stupid money on a car that has, the UK spec one has 30 more horsepower than this. Yeah, it's got bigger brakes, the anti-roll bars, the springs and shocks are a lot more stiffer. It's definitely a lot more of a driver's car. But chassis wise, there's not much between this and an Integra. I also got the well, I got another set of wheels with this particular car when I bought it as well. So I'm going to leave it there. That's enough for spoiler alerts, enough for spoilers. You'll have to wait and see what I do on the videos. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.